quite taken aback by just how much opposition there is to the Cloonkett Green Energy Wind Farm. I'd thought that the community would have been a closed shop and that support for the farmers, landowners' position would have been unanimous. Nothing could be further from the truth, and I suspect many more will reveal their real opinion now that so many others have chosen to do so. In the last video I asked the question, what happens if Cloonkett Green Energy or its parent company Greensource go bust? And I thought in this follow-up video I'd ask another. How many businesses are still solvent and trading 40 years after their formation? The lifetime of the Cloonkett Wind Farm project is 40 years. Got a figure in mind? According to Yahoo's AI, not many. 50% of businesses make it into their 5th year, 30% of businesses survive to their 10th, and only 10 to 20% of businesses survive for 40 years. I asked Copilot how many businesses from the 1950s were still trading in the year 2000. Key takeaway, less than 1%. I can't help feeling that the farmers, landowners are being a bit naive. Well under 1%. So, the possibility of Cloonkett Green Energy or its parent company Greensource going bust during the lifetime of the project, 40 years, isn't just likely, it's odds on. What would be the possible implications of Cloonkett Green Energy or its parent company going bust? The farmers, landowners being left with some scrap metal for which there would be a market, though I'd think they'd be way down the pecking order. Other creditors would also have a claim on this. Of more concern are the wind turbine blades, manufactured from a composite material, notoriously difficult to recycle, so they generally aren't. I very much doubt any of the creditors, farmers and landowners included, will be interested in these. There's a very good reason why solar PV has become the dominant technology. Several, actually. Their levelised cost of electricity generation is the cheapest out of all the renewables, and renewable energy is now way cheaper than fossil fuel generated electricity. Installation is less disruptive. Disposal recycling systems are widely available. As much as 90% of PV panels are recycled. Upgrading, replacement and maintenance is much easier. Localised battery storage is easily added. For domestic and, I suspect, farm shed installations, planning and organisational factors are far less challenging. For installations where the generated electricity is used locally rather than exported to the grid, transmission losses are minimised. If you own an EV and have solar panels on your roof, then effectively you'll get free fuel. I mentioned decommissioning in the last video. Scant information on the Cloonkett Green Energy website about this aspect of the project. In fact, none. When I thought about the decommissioning of the wind turbines, Shell's highly toxic North Sea Brent Spar oil transfer and storage installation came to mind. At one point, Shell thought it would be a really good wheeze simply to dump the whole thing in the Atlantic. Along came a fishy, along came a fishing boat, along came you and your family, along came all those incurable exotic diseases. Composite wind turbine blades also release toxins into the environment at an increasing rate as they age, mostly through leading edge erosion, large and small particulates, though sometimes oil leaks as well. Along came a cloud, precipitating onto the bog, flushing the toxins into the watercourses, including the loch, and into the drinking water supply. Along came the families of the farmers and the landowners and their neighbours to the faucets, and out pours the contaminated drinking water, and along come the incurable exotic diseases, etc. And what will Ireland be doing with all these toxic wind turbine blades at the end of their useful life? Very likely they'll be stored in the bog for a lengthy period of time while it's decided who should cover the cost of disposing of them. Remember, it's unlikely those businesses which set up the project will still be around. Indeed, that may be their business strategy. Perhaps the authorities will decide just to bury the toxic turbine blades in the bog permanently. Of course, the current farmers, landowners will likely be on the flip side by that time, having enjoyed the loot that they were given by Cloonkett Green Energy while on this side. Though their legacy probably won't be as secure as they think, as microplastic shedding from turbine blades contain a high proportion of bisphenol A, a frequently banned endocrine interrupter and neurotoxin. Essentially, there's an increased risk of infertility and birth defects. Use your imagination for neurotoxins, assuming it's still functioning after exposure. I'll no be eating any meat or dairy from around here if the wind farm goes ahead. Of course, the village of Kildysart will get most of that, as the prevailing wind is westerly. One of those community benefits that will actually be delivered. So the farmers may not have any children and grandchildren to inherit what may be worthless polluted land, should the Cloonkett Green Energy wind farm be constructed. Do the families neighbouring the farmers and landowners relish the prospect of living next to a toxic dump or being exposed to endocrine interrupting pollutants while the turbines are in operation and ongoing once decommissioned? Were you planning a family to fill all those grand houses you're building? The water from this well is currently very popular with several of the farmer landowner families. I wonder if that'll be so in the future. Of course, climate change is very real, and urgent action to eliminate the burning of fossil fuels is an imperative. Ireland is an island. Hear and read what RTE have to say, a link in the description. Trends are 25 years ahead of what were dire climatic predictions. It's going to get really bad unless. The installation of rooftop solar on all new builds is mandated, and substantial financial incentives are made available to retrofit existing homes and transition to EVs. In Germany, balcony solar and battery storage is increasingly popular, with an estimated 1 million installs, and installing it is as easy as putting a plug in a socket. And it's cheap. Payback in as little as 2 years. It's up 500,000 installs in the last 18 months alone. You simply don't get that sort of consumer uptake unless it's very worthwhile. The farmers and Ireland in general have a huge opportunity installing solar PV on their farm sheds. All they need to do is take it. I wonder if the local vet has started training up to deal with injuries caused by cattle standing on or accidentally eating shards of glass and carbon fibre. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for taking the time meantime. Good luck.